Within relationships, oxytocin, along with dopamine and serotonin, are often referred to as the happy hormones. When you're attracted to another person, your brain releases dopamine. This hormone stimulates intense pleasure, making new love feel rewarding and exciting. So, if you're behaving differently around your crush, it's likely due to the decrease of serotonin. With such a visible decline in senses, you may even lose your appetite and suffer from sleep deficiency due to the lack of behavioral regulation from serotonin. So when Angie Stone said, "I can't sleep, I can't eat anymore since you walked out that door," she wasn't lying. Obsessive thoughts can distract you from the necessities of life, and you might miss a couple of meals and suffer from some sleepless nights. And finally, there's oxytocin, which is produced to mediate attraction. Often you may hear that sex can deepen relationships, and part of the act's depth is derivative of the oxytocin hormone. Oxytocin is a bonding hormone. So, given oxytocin's relation to happy hormones and happy hormones' relations to relationships, oxytocin can be referred to as a love hormone and is often referred to as such, although in my opinion, it's more of an elusive love hormone. Since oxytocin increases during indistinguishable forms of endearment, such as hugging and or orgasms, it isn't always indicative of love. So when trying to maintain a pleasure-based relationship like that of a friends with benefits, or even just a simple boyfriend and girlfriend union, you may encounter difficulties, especially when the happy hormones are in conjunction with lust-based hormones like estrogen and testosterone. The relationship, if not solidified in respect and understanding, can crumble even in the presence of love. Considering that women produce more of the oxytocin hormone than men, we're more likely to be vulnerable and transparent within relationships, thus allowing us women to fall in love prematurely with whomever we are romantically intertwined with, especially after sexual intercourse. Whether the man is an F-boy or marriage material, oxytocin is going to be released after the act or during the act of sex, which might cause conflict and may create complications that only add to the complexities of that relational dynamic. That's why you often hear that sex can complicate things, especially when you understand the bonding agent known as oxytocin. Since that body cannot distinguish the action, since the body cannot distinguish the sex that you are having with whomever you're having it with, it may not be able to indicate who's who. The body won't know that Daquan is a one night stand, or that Jacob is a friends with benefits, or that Shamik is your boyfriend or boyfriend material. Because this hormone is released during an orgasm, you can become bonded to that sexual partner. Regardless of their credentials or the definitives of the relationship, the body is going to disregard all of that for who it is bonded to. And you're going to disregard all that you hold for the highest of regards for whatever it is that you want, given who you're bonded to. And who you're bonded to might not be the person that you need to be connected to, but since you connected with them, you're bonded to them. That's why, beyond just speaking of spiritual ties, scientifically speaking, you should always be wary with who you're having sexual intercourse with and who you choose to begin a friends with benefits relationship with, because it can be a very slippery inclined slope to ascend upon. And just to throw out there a quick little fun fact, a lot of men, especially young men, when I was growing up in high school, a lot of the athletes and the upperclassmen would always brag about how they put this girl to sleep. They put this girl to sleep. They put her to sleep. Made the bed squeak. Put her to sleep. Knocked her out. KO. All of that. And in reality, they didn't do that. It's not that they put her to sleep, but it's more so that the orgasm, which triggers a release of oxytocin, induced sleep and put her to sleep. And 9 times out of 10, when a lot of women get orgasms, it's not because of the man, because women can induce their own orgasm even in the act of sex. Like, women can stimulate that response on their own. So 9 times out of 10, sorry to pop your bubble, but a lot of you men aren't putting women to sleep, and that's my fun fact. So yeah, we love y'all still. Bye. Back to scheduled programming. Due to this hormonal release of oxytocin, you may be prompted into believing that you're in love. And yeah, maybe you love that person, but you're probably not in love with that person. Even if your intentions were to just be friends with benefits, establishing such a dynamic can be dangerous to the overall friendship and sexual experience, because where women receive oxytocin, men instead get a surge of hormones known as dopamine. Oxytocin is more of a bonding hormone, where dopamine is more of a pleasure-based hormone. Dopamine will have a lot of men jonesing for that woman and fiending for more of that sex. This hormone is a pleasure hormone, which ironically enough can be released during a pleasing experience like sex. Again, dopamine makes new love feel extremely rewarding, exciting, and worth pursuing, and is at its all-time high in the beginning stages of new romances. No matter the definitives of that relationship, when we do the things that make us feel good, like sex, we get a release of dopamine. And for men, when they have an orgasm, they get a surge of dopamine. So due to the addictive nature of this hormone, it has a tendency to insulate dependencies and attachment. That's why some men stalk and become crazed after getting some good puss, some good kitty cat, because they think they're addicted to that woman, or more specifically the woman's cat, but in reality they're just addicted to how they felt once they received a surge of dopamine. So that's that on that. Oftentimes I always suggest any of my friends, any of the women that I know or that I'm speaking to, I always suggest that you be very wary of who you lay with. I'm not saying that you can't lay with however many people that you want to lay with, because girl, do what makes you feel the best. But be aware that oxytocin will bond you and has the capability of bonding you to people that you shouldn't necessarily be bonded with. And for a lot of men, whenever I'm talking to my male friends, whenever I'm talking to any men that I'm, talking to, I always say be very cognizant of dopamine. It will have you out here looking like a little crackhead, okay? It'll have you out here looking like Tyrone from the Chappelle Show. And you don't want to look like Tyrone. You don't want to be like Jodeci, fiending in some insane asylum. You don't. So be careful, ladies and gentlemen. When you're pursuing friends with benefits, when you're pursuing your friends for benefits, be careful. For all of you guys pursuing any relationship that might result in sex, be careful, my people. But have fun, but be careful. But before I conclude this video, I do want to emphasize on the presence of oxytocin within men, because men do produce oxytocin, just not as much as women. And when thinking of humans, especially men as the mammals that they are, most male animals are bachelors within nature. So in the act of lovemaking, they generate an opportunity for trust via oxytocin. Yet after given the dollop of dopamine that they need, once given that little dose of dopamine, they can become detached and removed until they get their itch back and come back for seconds. Like I said, a lot of you men will be out here looking like crackheads, being crazed and deranged and possessive over a woman and her body because of that surge of dopamine you're craving. And then once they get it, ladies, they leave you. And because that woman might be bonded to you, giving oxytocin, she's like, okay, well, Tyrone the crackhead is back. Tyrone the hormonal crackhead is back. Let me give him a little bit of this cootie cat. And then you do. And then Tyrone gets his little cootie cat and he doesn't come back for like 3 months. And then the cycle repeats. So you guys, when you're dealing with relationships, when you're dealing with sexual encounters, when you're dealing with friends with benefits, honestly, don't do it. Honestly. But if you choose to do it, at least You can reference to this video and know that you should proceed with caution.